Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here, and in costume, no less. So we are here today with LiAnna Davis from the Wiki Education Foundation, or is it just Wiki Ed? Let's just call you Wiki Ed. She's here to talk about their Wiki Ed dashboard, which is a pretty neat tool that they have developed, and they have developed it under open source. So what we are looking into right now is if this could be something that other places around the world could use, or any sorts of programs or events that they're organizing. And the idea of this meeting is for LiAnna to give a walkthrough of what it looks like right now and what it might do in the future. So with that, over to you, LiAnna, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Flora. Well, so how many of you guys here are sort of familiar with the Wiki Education Foundation, or should I give a very short overview of sort of who we are? I think maybe I'll give the 30-second version of who we are. So we are actually a spin-off organization of the Wikimedia Foundation. We spun off 2 years ago, and we're an independent nonprofit still based in San Francisco. And our particular role is to run a program where we work with university faculty to have them assign their students to contribute content to Wikipedia in course-related topic areas. And so we're working with about 154 classes this term, so we have a lot of activity. And we work closely with Flora and her team around the education programs globally as well. And so the tool that I'm going to show off today is the suite of technical stuff that we have built to support the classroom program that we run. And I think it's pretty obvious how this tool would be effective for other educational programs globally, but what I want to focus on is kind of what are the features that we've built in here, and how could this work for a program leader from a chapter or some other entity globally who's running an editing workshop or a series of editathons or a Wiki Loves Monuments instance or any other kinds of programmatic activities that we see in this movement that chapters or the dedicated volunteers globally run. So I want to first sort of start out by showing this. This is all at dashboard.wikiedu.org. So if you want to play around with it on your own, you're certainly welcome to do that now or anytime in the future. So what I'm going to show you here today is a particular course that we have going on. It's a behavioral ecology course at Washington University in St. Louis. And so this is the course page is what we call for this particular class. And so the features that have been built into this course, there's a general just overview page, which is what this is. And you guys will not see all these edit buttons because you are not an administrator on this dashboard. So you won't see the edit of the capabilities. But what you can see is sort of a general overview of the course and details about sort of when it starts and ends, and then what the current actions are at this particular point in time. But let me click over to the timeline. So this is the fully fleshed out description of what happens sort of week by week in the course. So this is particularly useful for education programs, but I think it could also be really useful for a series of editing workshops or a series of editathons or something like that, where you have a sort of week by week, you want students to, or the program participants to do something in advance of the class and come to the workshop having already researched something or have a topic idea that you want them to focus on. You can give some direction here. You can have resources for them to review and to read ahead of time. And then it sort of walks you through week by week. What are the particular things you're doing then? What are the assignments in particular that you should work on? And then what are the what are you doing sort of in class or out of class? So for sustained projects where you're having a series of workshops once a week or a month or something like that, this is a place where this timeline could be a really effective tool for organizing that series as well. Now the next tab at the top is the Students tab, and I think this is where things get really interesting. So with the Students tab, this is each student enrolls in the course page. So what they do is they log in with their Wikipedia accounts, and then they are given a URL by their professor that is a unique URL that if they click that, it will automatically enroll them into this course. And so once they click that URL, then their username appears on this page. Now, how we do this is we actually use the OAuth system that you guys have developed to be able to use their accounts to do a lot of very minor edits to alert things on Wikipedia that they're actively working with our database. So let me give you an example here. So this particular student here has logged in and has said that they are a student in this class, is enrolled. So when they do that, if you look at the user page for this student, we've automatically placed the banner that says this user is a student editor in this particular course on their user page. So if you're running an editathon, anybody that you want to bring in for the editathon, you can get them to automatically post that they attended this particular editathon. Now this gets even better when you look at actually the articles that they're worked on. So this student had 2 particular articles, and this is one of the articles that she worked on. And if you go over to the top page, one of the other things that we have her account automatically do is place this little banner on the page here that says this article is or was the subject of a Wiki Education Foundation sponsored course assignment. And then further details are available on the course page, and who's the student editor who's going to be working on it, and then who are the student editors who are going to be peer reviewing it. And this is a really powerful way to be able to go in and tag articles that are being worked on for a particular editathon. So if you're thinking about it in the context of like the art and feminism editathons, any articles that are worked on as part of that would automatically get these banners placed on the top pages of the articles just by having the editor log in through our system rather than having to encourage all of those people to go in and put banners on pages. So it makes it for the new users that are coming to Wikipedia, the things that Wikipedians will sort of expect them to do. It makes it a lot easier for us to just do those in the background automatically without those new editors even paying attention to what's going on there. So as well, then you can assign, each student can assign themselves an article. So this is where, you know, if you're at an editathon, for example, and you choose an article you want to work on, you go in and you assign yourself that article. And that really helps us be able to track then what, in our case, the students are doing. But in the case of any kind of editathon or other activity where there's a lot of new people coming on board, you can see what they're doing in particular. And then you can also see the peer review here information as well. You can see who is reviewing then someone's article as well. As the person who's running that event, you also have these really great overview of the activity level, right? So you can see who has made edits recently in the last 7 days, and then how much content each of these users have added to the main space, and then to the user space. So this would be what they're putting in sandboxes. So you can see when people are in user space versus when people are in sandboxes, and where the amount of content that's generated from this particular event ends up happening. Then the articles tab themselves shows you actually what the articles that anyone enrolled in this class touched. So there's, at the top, there's the assigned articles list. So this is all the articles that the students in this particular class actually worked on, and then it shows you the assignees and the reviewers. But then as well, there's a list at the bottom, because students often will do a small copy editing assignment or something along those lines as well as an early assignment. So we also have this articles edited, which enables you to see all of the articles that anybody actually edited. So this would be the case of maybe you create a new article as part of an editathon that you're doing, and then you need to make it not an orphan article, right? And so you go in and add a wiki links to it, to the article you just created from 3 or 4 other articles. Those other articles would appear in here. And as well, we have these CS, etc. These are the Wikipedia 1.0 assessment rating from the talk page of what that article, whether it's a start class, subclass, A, B, C, D, featured article, good article. And this gives a really easy, visible overview for a Wikipedia editor who's supporting an activity like this, because you can see if somebody thinks they're going to work on a featured article, that generally doesn't go well for new editors. And so you can head somebody off really quickly by just seeing that featured article pop up that they think they're going to be improving that article. One of the other exciting things about this particular this particular thing as well is we also see the page views here. So these are the numbers of views that article has gotten since the first time that new editor touched the article. So this can be a really, really powerful motivator, especially for our student editors, but I imagine for a lot of new editors as well. You know, it's easy to think that you write these articles and they sort of go out into this void, and you never know when something is going to come up again, and you know, who knows what it's going to be. But in this case, these students are able to see exactly how many people have been reading the articles that they worked on in particular, and that can cause them to put a lot more work into the article to make it better because they know people are looking at it. Let me scroll back up here. At the top, the Uploads tab, so we have a number of students who will actually add images as part of their assignment as well. This particular class is on bees, and so most of these images are of bees or of areas of the world in which these particular bee species are prevalent. But this, I think, could be a really interesting feature for a Wiki Loves Monuments class. If there is a particular or not a class, but an instance of Wiki Loves Monuments, you could see all of the images that were uploaded to Commons as part of this Wiki Loves Monuments campaign, or in a quick sort of visible way. And we haven't done a lot of work developing this feature beyond just the what is the image and sort of a thumbnail preview of it, but I think this has a lot of potential to be something that would be really cool for Wiki Loves Monuments instances as well. And then my personal favorite part of this whole thing is this activity feed. So if you are the Wikipedia editor who's running this particular program, you can have an overview of what activity is happening across every page on Wikipedia that anybody who is in that cohort of users that you've enrolled in this page is doing. So you can see, you know, if you're Wiki Loves Monuments, you can see whether these people are actually logging onto Wikipedia and adding their images to the articles, or if they're just uploading them to Commons and not doing anything with them, right? If you are running an editing workshop, you can see where people are doing, what they're editing, what edits they're actually making, and then you can also click in and actually see the diffs. So in this case, we can see this particular student just nominated his or her article for Did You Know, because we can see that they edited the template on Did You Know. So this enables you to track what they're doing, and then as well, after the edit-a-thon or workshop is over, you would be able to see who's continuing to edit and what they're continuing to do after the course, because you see this recent activity feed of what's happening. And then any step along the way, you can click this diff and you can go over and see what it is that this particular editor actually did on Wikipedia with just a one-click, sort of easy to navigate click. So I also want to show you then, as well, if you have several instances of this working for you. So let's say you are the organizers of the Art and Feminism Edit-a-thon or something like that. You're not just particularly interested in one of the edit-a-thons, but you're interested in looking, okay, what happened over this entire weekend? We had 200 events worldwide. All of these events then can feed into this recent activity feed, where we show as what are the current sort of, we have a Did You Know eligible kind of flag, which is, you know, where are the articles that are sitting in sandboxes that we think are probably pretty good, that look like they might be ready to move to main space. So this is catching the students who do a lot of work in sandboxes, but then who are too scared to ever move that content from sandboxes onto the main space, which I think is a common occurrence in a lot of new editor engagement, that there's a lot of content that gets developed in sandboxes that never goes anywhere because those editors the new editors want to make their articles perfect before they move them onto Wikipedia, and so as a result, there's a lot of content that gets lost. It's just sitting in these sandboxes and never gets moved. So this gives us the ability to see where those are, and this revision score is based off the work that Aaron Halfaker here does with his sort of article completeness measure, looking at the structure of the article. You know, does it have images, headings? How much does it resemble a typical Wikipedia article that you would already see? And then it's rated on a score of 0 to 100. And so what we're looking for there is where are the articles that look like they're pretty complete as a computer can see them, and then those are maybe the ones that would be ready. to move over. We also have a possible plagiarism detection as well that's using the Turnitin bot that the Wiki Project Med folks have been working to get up. And then as well a full recent edits feed of all of the edits of everybody in the cohort that you're working on. So we can see right now sort of everybody who is enrolled in the projects that we're working on right now. You can see the full feed of all of these edits, and you can see whether it's sandboxes or whether they're working on their user space or the actual article namespace. Now, on that note, we also have these global views. So we can see, this is from our perspective, then the global view, we can see we're currently supporting 154 courses, a little over 3,000 students. And so we can kind of see where things are going sort of in our program overall. But you can also put things into specific cohorts. So for example, we have a partnership with the National Women's Studies Association, and so we can also just create a cohort of these are the classes that are enrolled in this National Women's Studies Association. So this could be super useful for sort of regional work of anybody who wants to put in a number of these event instances, what we're calling courses, into a particular cohort, can then get a global view over what is, the activity that's happening within this particular cohort. So I think this could be very useful as well for the program evaluation folks to be able to see sort of comparing cohorts, just even, click by click by click of, how many, where's our differences between the number of instances, the number of new editors enrolled in these, and then how much characters they've added and how many article views those pages have gotten. Now, one of the other things that we have also rolled out that I'm really excited about, that I think has the potential to be very useful for all new editors and not just the editors in our for our students, is ask.wikiedu.org, which I'm going to have to put down the microphone here to type for a moment, so hold on one moment. So at the top of the dashboard box is this help box. And so, for example, if I'm a student and I got my picture deleted, I can type picture deleted and click the help button. And what this does is this takes us to this website that we have called ask.wikiedu.org. And this is a question and answer platform about anything, all of the sort of common questions and common answers that we get. Now, similar to our dashboard, you log into this with your Wikipedia account. Anyone can do this with a Wikipedia account. You guys can all log in and ask questions or answer questions that have come up here. So in this particular case, this student had his or her picture deleted, and so you can click on this and then you get an answer as well from one of our Wikipedia content experts who explains what you should do if your picture got deleted. And so this is a way that I think could be very, very powerful for a lot of the new editors who are approaching editing Wikipedia for the first time. I think one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of editathons is that people running the editathons are often very enthusiastic Wikipedia novices. They've maybe written an article themselves, or they've done a little bit of work, but they don't know how to answer the advanced questions. And having some sort of technical database like this of questions and answers that has the easy answers to the most common questions that come up from new editors enables it to be a very sort of quick question and answer system, rather than trying to navigate through extensive Wikipedia help pages where you may or may not actually find the answer you're looking for. I think Wikipedia is great for a number of things, but as a question and answer platform, it is pretty terrible, which is why I think things like ask.wikiedu.org have the potential to be really powerful for an onboarding, sort of helpful Q&A system for new editors and new instructors in our program. So the final thing, and I think this is not actually working, so unfortunately I can't click the button, but what we are working on right now is rolling out a quiz functionality and an online training functionality to be integrated into the dashboard itself. And so the idea behind this is every one of those modules that are on the timeline that I showed earlier, those could have an online training component to it that welcomes people to Wikipedia and teaches them the basics of what they need to know. So I think this would be also incredibly powerful for a lot of the programs that are aimed at new contributors. So if it's Wiki Loves Monuments, you could have a module of Introduction to Commons, what are free licenses, how do you do this, right? If it's an editing workshop, it could be an overview of sort of what are the things you need to know before you start editing. And this could be something that would be done then remotely before the new editors ever show up to a workshop. And so the actual editing activity that happens in the workshop can move beyond that sort of first hour, hour and a half that is traditionally spent introducing people to the concept of Wikipedia and the overviews of sort of what the most important policies are, and move directly into editing. So I think this could as well be a very powerful tool for a lot of programmatic activity beyond just the education program. So Sage, I think you have joined now. Is there anything that I missed in that overview that you want to chime in on?
No, that was really fantastic.
Okay, excellent. Well, are there any questions? I mean, I'm happy to, yes, the floor.
Okay, let me start with the question. I know you guys talked about developing an assignment design wizard, and I believe it is integrated into this dashboard. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it works?
I can do that as well, yes. So this is something that, this is the version, so I'm on the testing dashboard right now, so I'm going to go through the course creation process here. So I'm going to click this button that calls Create a Course. So this is how you set up these pages. So if I want to create a new course for a new class, you put in a bunch of information here. I'm just going to type random things. Okay, so I am creating this course, and so what this is our assignment design wizard. So we have the course start and end date that you put in here, and then you select the days of the week that the course meets. So this is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. In this case, we are not going to meet on Christmas because that's a holiday, so I'll close that out. And then I have the assignment start and end date. I want this assignment in this particular example to last the entire time. And then what we actually do is we have several different assignment types. So in this case, this could be building an edit-a-thon or a Wiki Loves Monuments or an education program instance or something like this. This could be a building out different types of programs. In our case, it's different types of assignments within our education program. The Create or Expand an Article is our most popular one, so I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And then what it does is it walks you through a series of questions that enables you to put guardrails around what you're actually asking people to do. So in this case, for example, this question is, we are going to assign your students to go through our online training. The question is, do you want this training to be graded or not? And so by being able to frame it in this way, we're giving the instructors the power to sort of choose which assignment, how to design their assignment to meet the learning objectives of the course, but all within the guardrails of what we know are our best practices. So we know students do a lot better if they go through our online training. And so the instructor is just choosing whether the training is going to be graded or not. There's also, here's getting started with editing, so there's some introductory assignments. So we generally feel like, we recommend that they assign a few. They can say, we're going to do a critique an article and add an article, or if they want to say, my students are really good at copy editing, I want them to do copy editing instead, then they can do that as well. So this enables the instructors to really have sort of the power of choosing to design the assignment based on the learning objectives itself. And so then they ask, they get asked a series of questions. Should they prepare a list of articles, or should the students find their own articles, things like that. And then based on, all of the choices that they make within this particular topic, then their timeline will be crafted based on what they choose here. So I'll just, almost done with this. And we don't want that. So yeah, you get an overview of the summary then of all of the choices that you selected, and you can go back in and make any edits that you want, or you can click submit, and then this is where you can go in and then edit your timeline as well and say, you know, oh, I actually, you know, this block needs to be moved up here, and you can just drag and drop around. So one of the other benefits of this is all of this information then as well from the instructor's end is also mirrored to Wikipedia. So every single edit that the instructor is making here will be made on a corresponding course page that's on Wikipedia. So for editors who want to add a course page to their watch list, they can easily simply do that, and we are using through OAuth, using that instructor's account to go in and make the edit to Wikipedia on the Wikipedia version of these course pages. But our instructors are then just able to see the course and interact with this sort of easier to use system rather than having to navigate complex wiki code and templates. Yeah.
Hi. Is this working? Yes. Okay. So I wanted to know in the Ask feature of the dashboard, how do you monitor how the community gets engaged? Because you mentioned that these are volunteer editors that provide or offer an answer to the questions. How do you make sure that questions go answered? And how much is staff involved in this process?
So currently, that's a great question. Currently, staff is extremely involved in this, in the sense that currently staff is answering every single question that we get coming in. Staff has also asked the vast majority of the questions. We've had 3 questions that have come in that were not from staff members. We launched this about 3 weeks ago, and so I think it's probably too early to really tell how this will be used in the long run. Nevertheless, there is this unanswered tab, so you can click over there and see if there's any questions that are awaiting an answer, and you can chime in. In the sort of a what if you get a bunch of answers to a question and they're all not particularly good, or there's one that's not particularly good, you can also upvote and downvote the answers to the questions. The functionality for Ask is all run by an open source Q&A platform called AskBot. And we contracted with them to put this together and then to build in the login with MediaWiki so that you are logged in with your Wikipedia account to be able to ask and answer them. So we are hosting it.
I have another question. Yeah. Can you expand a little bit more on training libraries?
Yeah. So what this will be, whoops, where did the training go? I think I moved off of it. Here we go. So this is not, I think it's, unless
it should be working since you're logged in. Oh,
nope.
Guess not.
So this is our we are currently developing this, as you might be able to see by the internal server error that I just got there. So the idea behind this is we will create a series of modules, and each module would be associated then with one of the chunks on the dashboard. So it enables us to generate a full training based on when the students need to know that information. So this is particularly useful in the education program context. So for example, in the first week we want to give them an overview of Wikipedia, like what is Wikipedia, what are the sort of core policies that they need to know. But right now we also front load information on like how do you add a reference to an article, and they probably won't even be adding a reference to an article until 2 months later. So the idea behind this training is then there's a series of modules, and whenever they're about to need to go in to do whatever the thing is that they are being asked to do, there's a module associated with that that can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes long that they take as a training. At the end of it, there's a quiz functionality as well, where they have, you know, a question, and then it checks whether they understood that or not. If they don't, then it gives them a wrong answer and they have to keep trying until they get it right. So the idea is what we're trying to do with this training is have it be a modular approach to really make sure we're instructing these new student editors how to the important things that they need to know about Wikipedia editing immediately prior to when they're actually being asked to do that on Wikipedia. And we have a version for students and a version for instructors as well. So the instructor version talks a lot about sort of how do you do assignment design, and the student version of it talks about how do you actually contribute content to Wikipedia.
So LiAnna?
Yes.
If you want to show it working, I see that there's an extra training that got added into the URL, which is the bug. But if you take that out, then it should work.
Where?
And I could also screen share my own, if that would be helpful. So
okay.
If you click the one that gave you the error, and then like adjust the URL to take out the extra /training, then that would work.
Like this?
Also,
does that work? Yes. No, that totally works. Okay, so yeah, this is the orientation for new instructors. So then it has the estimated time to complete 23 minutes. You start it, and the content here isn't finalized, but you can see you sort of walk through each of the steps, and then if you want to jump down to something else, you can jump down to other information here. Do you know where we've got our quiz?
Yes, the quiz is at near the end of the students' policy and guidelines one.
Which number is that?
It's not in the instructor one that you're looking at.
Okay.
You'd have to go back to the students one.
Okay, and click on policy and guidelines. And then the last one, quiz question 1. So yeah, then a Wikipedia article should, and then if you click present the facts in a careful way to persuade readers to draw certain conclusions, you can check your answer and it'll tell you you are incorrect. So yeah, this is clearly still in development, but I think this will be ready to be launched for our spring term for the students that are starting editing in January, and I think this will be a really powerful way to massively train significant quantities of new users.
Could you speak a bit to, since it is a new tool, the ease of administration as we look at potential other use cases and applications? This is comprehensive around one use.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talk a little bit about the maintenance and what you're expecting and any other bugs that you've run into.
Yeah, Sage, do you want to take that question?
Sure, I'll try. So it's mostly still an open question right now. And we're trying to build things in a way that will make it as easy as possible to, we don't want to put unnecessary roadblocks up to internationalizing it and to adapting it to different use cases. And so a lot of the sort of definitions of the training is as sort of simple of a file format as possible so that it would be easy for someone to write new content, switch that out. I think the biggest challenge will just be actually developing the content for specific new use cases, because creating the sort of very specific needs that we have, the wizard for creating a course, and then our trainings, those are going to be pretty carefully tailored to the education program that we run. But in terms of actually just sort of maintaining it and making changes, it's at this point all in sort of part of the code base, and so there's the barrier to entry of doing that, but beyond the barrier to entry of you have to submit a patch to make a change, it's fairly low overhead.
We joined a bit late, so this might have already been covered, but how easy will it be to add global metrics to the the dashboard numbers at the top, and how easy could it be to download and slice and dice your data?
Sage?
So we don't have either of those things yet because we haven't needed them, and I haven't looked into how hard they will be. But I mean, it'll be easy to get data out in sort of programmatic ways. And from what I've seen of the global metrics, like none of them are particularly hard to implement. So I think it would be pretty straightforward to basically re-implement the same definitions that that Wikimetrics is using. That's the short answer. Yeah.
I was wondering, in the training library for teachers, would you be interested in incorporating training regarding the principles and philosophy behind working on a collaborative platform, or you just want to focus on technical aspects of working with Wikipedia?
That's a great question. So I think in terms of the training content, there's a few different ways we approach this. One is there is a specific module we want every instructor who participates in our program to go through that introduces the concept of, the Wikipedia community, and your students are doing real work, and don't do this as a joke assignment, don't let them create fake articles, like those kinds of things. What are the 5 pillars, the very basic things. And then there's a series of other additional optional modules that I think are sort of if the instructor is interested in that, then they may want to take this module to learn more about sort of the philosophy of Wikipedia or things like that. But those would all be optional modules rather than things that we would force instructors to go through before they can create their first course page. Additionally, what we're looking at doing for the instructors in particular is, when I was showing out that assignment design wizard after Fleur asked about that, and there was the 4 or 5 different assignment types, what we're interested is then we have a module of what do you need to know if you're choosing this assignment design type, right? And so then, if the instructor is just choosing the illustrate an article assignment type, then we don't need to spend any time talking about sources or anything like that, because it's some sort of media class where the only thing the students are doing is going to be adding images to Wikimedia Commons. But we need to spend a lot of time talking about free licenses and, how do you get those images, how do you get them onto Commons, and then how do you get them from Commons to Wikipedia. So depending on the assignment type, there's different things that we want to teach you about how do you teach this from the instructor's perspective, and then what you need to learn from the student's perspective in order to do those assignments. And so this more dynamic approach to training enables these modules to be assigned based on what the students are being assigned to do in class, rather than a sort of one-size-fits-all training approach. So it enables it to be a much more sort of modular toolkit of resources for those participants in the program to get the information that they need.
So I'm a design researcher, and I'm just wondering if you guys have design researchers. I've met Sage and talked with him, and I think he's pretty knowledgeable about design research, and it looks like a really good UI and interaction-wise. Just curious if you have design researchers and if you guys have gathered feedback or...
Yeah, Sage, do you want to talk about what you and Winter have done in that stuff?
Sure. So I've been doing basically a lot of user testing is the short answer. Like I started doing user testing actually with the on wiki versions of those trainings, and found students who were actually participating with us but hadn't done the training yet, and would walk them through it, and instructors as well. And so that's the main way that we've iterated. And we're working with a design firm now, Winter, who they have some pretty deep expertise with sort of user-centered design. And so they've also now gotten involved with some of the user testing and user research as well. So that's the short answer.
Great, that's awesome to hear. I had one little feedback that I noticed that, so, I'm brand new. This is my first time seeing it, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's awesome. But then as you were moving around, I didn't keep up with where you went. I was trying to use the search at the top to locate myself in the software.
Ah, interesting.
You might want to have a little bit of like, this help button will take you to a different place, because everyone has the mental model of when you see a search box, it might search within there.
No, that's good feedback. Can you take a note of that, Sage?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
I think that's
Well,
a no.
I'm also happy to, for those of you here in the room, I'm happy to talk not on camera afterwards if you have any additional questions you want to ask but don't want to have broadcasted. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, LiAnna. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Sage, as well.
Thank you, Sage.